Well, we are here for the first weekend of the LCS. I'm joined by Artemis from Evil Geniuses with coverage brought to you by Alienware. Artemis, a perfect game just now, but also against CLG. So I don't know.
True.
What
True.
do you discount it at all for the being against CLG? I mean, they are slowly losing, I feel like, the respect of a lot of people.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't discount a perfect game against anybody. I think, perfect games are incredibly rare, and they're rare for good reason. Like in League of Legends, typically on the back end of any play, there's almost always counterplay. So if you're that disciplined that you can play an entire game without, I don't even think we gave up a turret play that game. So it doesn't matter who we're against. I'm incredibly proud of our team. And I wouldn't even discredit CLG yet. Like, I think it's unfortunate for them to play their first game of the season against us. Like, we are in really good form right now. We had already played a warm-up game yesterday, essentially, and this is their first time on stage. So I'm not going to be too critical of them. I'm just really, really proud of our guys.
Yeah. Do you know what Svenskeren his stats were? Because I have a fantasy thing that I've drafted him for.
No, let me know. What's
okay,
up?
Well, I'm excited thinking about the fact that you guys did so well last night and today, and you said that you guys are in such good form. I'm sure his stats did particularly well. So you you don't want to discredit CLG, but were you surprised at all that they didn't make any meaningful changes to their roster lineup during the break?
You mean like not considering Pobelter?
I mean, yeah, because Pobelter came in like they had Pobelter for a while. They still finished 10th and had a pretty. I think they only won like 3 games, so it didn't feel like that really counts, at least for the break stuff.
I mean, this might not be the answer you're looking for, but honestly, I didn't really care what CLG did. Like they couldn't really make any moves that would have improved them to the point where they would be competitive with us or the other top teams, in my opinion. So just because of like the available talent, like they could be promoting academy players for sure, and like attempting to either like build up their rookies or maybe invest in the future. But as far as immediate competitive success, I don't think that was possible for them to split. So in that way, I'm not surprised to see no changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about the answer I'm looking for. I think, people right now are criticizing CLG for not making these changes, and I think you and other teams would have a lot of insight potentially on what moves would be possible. Could they not have picked up Unni?
I mean, they could have tried, but why would Unni want to play for CLG when he can play for EG? And I mean, I'm just.
Can he play for EG? Which is a great segue into my next topic, which is you picked up Unni. He's not playing. Why did you pick up Unni?
There's many reasons we picked up Unni. First and foremost is the effect that the 7-man roster has on it psychologically. I think that it's really, really cool to come together and really have like an extended family team or like an extended team and not just have the 5 core people. Both Definitely and Unni like bring a lot to the team environment. That's something that they both do well. And also just having like the threat of Unni, and just like having his presence there, I think is really, really helpful for Kumo. There's many things that we've been working with Kumo on and getting him prepared for this season, and we're super, super happy to see his performance. And I do think that Unni has a part to play in that, absolutely. And that's not even talking about our flexibility come 2021 and things we can do. But yeah, Unni's a fantastic add to the team, absolutely.
So this is really interesting for a variety of reasons. One, when I talked to Zazel, he made it sound as though like Unni wasn't going to necessarily see play. Then I talked to Jizuke, and he said you guys had done some scrims, but ultimately decided to not. And here I'm talking to you, and it sounds as though there was a chance that we could see Unni have play this split.
I mean, there's always a chance, right? Like, I don't think that Definitely or Unni, which would be the package we would use because of import restrictions, both of those players are LCS capable players, and they would both be starting on other organizations in the LCS. So we have full confidence in those players, but for me, right now, we're focusing on the performance of these core 5. These were the core 5 that we wanted to start this weekend. These were the core 5 that we believed in, and we saw the results of that today. So I'm not going to say we won't use Unni. I'm not going to say that we will use Unni, but even if we don't, he's having a large effect on us in practice. For example, Unni and Kumo are playing 1v1s on a weekly basis. They're practicing matchups. They're sharing information. And this kind of relationship, this mentor-mentee relationship, is absolutely invaluable for a player like Kumo.
So what's interesting, this was the other question I was going to talk about. Your original language was having the threat of Unni is good for Kumo.
Yeah.
Most mentees are not considering their mentor a threat. And so, and this is kind of a broader discussion about that we don't necessarily need to dive all the way into, but around the relationships of subs or 7-man,
Mhm.
8-man, 10-man rosters where,
Sure.
is it a mentor-mentee relationship? Is Huni there to help Kumo, or is this a competitive relationship where, Huni is waiting for Kumo's stock to fall enough potentially within the team that he's like, now's my chance. Bring
Yeah.
it deftly. I'm here.
I mean, it's all of the above, I think. Like all of those things are encapsulated in the relationship that is like this active sub dynamic that we have in LCS. They're both mentor-mentee and direct competitors at the same time. And balancing that relationship is incredibly challenging, and I'm not sure we have good evidence of teams really succeeding when they're balancing this kind of mentor-mentee active sub situation, and we knew that going into this season. So the core focus of this, and we knew that without crystal clear communication and perfect communication channels, that we would have problems and that there would be externalities associated with this move. So for us, the most important thing was making sure that all the players, Kumo, Huni, everybody, including the rest of the team, knew 100% where everybody stood, and they knew 100% like where we stood as a team, and that at all points we would be candid with the players. So there was never any beating around the bush, there was never any mincing words. It was just brutal, straightforward honesty, and I think that's the best you can do. Like you said, it's a super, super complex relationship, but I think we're managing it very well.
And how are you guys managing to have? Because not only are there complications around that relationship based off of just sort of the duality of it being you're in competition, but also here to help each other. But also, I think it probably even gets more complicated in a world where you guys don't necessarily have the training facility or are using the training facility. Because I know some teams have started to, others have not. So how are you sort of managing this, and how are the players interacting right now?
We're in I guess, like a team house situation where we have sort of converted like an apartment living space into a space that we can practice in together. And I know sometimes we might be remote as well, for just different reasons like variety. But that's kind of a challenge that all the teams were facing, and we felt that it was important that we figure out some way where we can get some FaceTime together, just because of how important relationship building is. And yeah, I'm really pleased with the practice we've had this week. I think that we used this core five in this whole week of practice. We weren't making any changes, and this was probably the best week of practice that I've seen from EG in a long time. And this is probably the best that we've been performing as a team, and even individually that we've seen. So I'm just super, super pleased with the systems we've built over the offseason and how we've like essentially hit the ground running and not wasted any time come summer.
Do you see a world where you guys return to the training facility anytime soon, or I'm curious. I don't know who makes that call within the
Yeah,
org.
sure. I mean, I think that the majority of the onus is on the city of LA, and of course, there's liability concerns between organizations and companies. So I think we're going to wait to see what LA says about returning to the office, and we're not going to rush things. Yeah, we're not in any hurry to rush things.
Yeah, it's super fascinating because, and I mean, I'm not. You are in no way, a legal person that I am trying to seek a legal answer for. It just, candidly, it's been interesting to see how different teams have treated this. Right, like
Mm.
TSM announced that their players are going to be using the facility. Pobelter had told me in an interview that CLG had said that it would be illegal to use the facility. Golden Guardians is using their facility, so perhaps I need to go find some legal expert or something on this topic. But it's been
Yeah.
fascinating to see how everybody has interacted with the current restrictions. So, um, other than that, what are your expectations for Evil Genius this split? I mean, you guys had a tweet that said that you weren't satisfied with third. And I think, a lot of people have been saying, we were talking so much about Kumo. Can the roster, perform better if they still have Kumo on the team? Obviously, he looked great that game, but
And
what?
yesterday as well.
Yeah,
He had two fantastic games against Someday and Ruin. Both of them are pretty talented laners too.
sure. And I'm not trying to dog on Kumo by any means, though.
I know.
I
I
respect
know.
you defending your boy. I'm just kind of curious, amid all this discussion that is permeating among the community around what EG can do, what do you think is possible?
As far as our finish this split, regular season
Finish
playoffs,
and
what are we talking?
both playoffs and regular split. I mean, generally, what are the
First place.
accomplishments?
We're here to win. And we don't mean that in a joking way. We don't say we're here to win like, CLG says they're here to win. We actually mean what we say. And we're here to beat Cloud9. We're here to take the trophy. And we're here to go to Worlds. And we didn't like plan to start the same way we started last split. Like, we knew that it was really important that we pick up wins early, and it's also really important that we build momentum early. So a large part of what we've been focusing on in practice is just discipline and intensity. And we come into practice every day with the same amount of discipline and intensity that you would expect from these guys to show on stage. And we're finally at the point where when we go to our stage matches, we can just tell our players exactly the way we did in scrims, because the games you saw this weekend on stage are exactly the way our scrims look. And this is, I'm really proud of the guys. I'm really proud of League of Legends we're playing, and we're not going to get complacent. Like, it's really, really important that we essentially don't care about our record. We don't care about wins and losses, and we really insulate ourselves from either the successes or the failures, and just focus on improvement for the sake of improvement and mastery for the sake of mastery. And as long as we can kind of keep these ideals in practice and kind of translate that into behavior, I think we're going to be successful.
Well, good answers for sure. And looking forward to seeing how you guys do over the course of the split. Is there anything you want to say to any of the EG fans out there?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, to all the EG fans, new and old, thank you so much for the support. I know that when you guys DM our players, it means a lot to them, even me and the coaches in Irene. Just having words of encouragement from the community is super, super big, because there's a lot of loud voices who like to hate on EG. And for the new people who might be looking to jump ship or looking for a new team to support, I can promise you a competitive team who cares about winning above all else. And it's very, very central to our values. And we're going to do everything we can to win the NALCS, and we're going to make you proud.
You said everybody likes it when they get DMs. So what I'm hearing is yours and everyone else's DMs are open.
I don't know about that. I mean, of course, like, if you're being an asshole in a DM, like, don't do that. But if you're here to genuinely support somebody, I think it's great. Like, especially in COVID, where these guys might not be getting the same kind of interactions they might before. I think that kind of support is really, really meaningful. So to those of you guys who are active in supporting my players, thank you so much. It really means a lot.
Okay. Again, Artemis's DMs are open. That's what he's saying. His word. Go hit him up. You can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching that interview. I hope you enjoyed it. So good to be getting back into the swing of things again for summer 2020. Now, I want to give a shout out to Alienware and Draft Buff for sponsoring this interview. By the way, speaking of Draft Buff, you can actually go sign up for their stuff right at draftbuff.com. There's a link in the video description below. It helps me out. Use the referral code Travis Gafford when you get there. It's fantasy drafting. All right. There's no gambling. There's nothing like that. It's what Riot used to do, but better. So if you've missed the chance to play fantasy in the past, you can do that now. Full fantasy leagues, but also something called Draft Royale, which are limited towards limited time. So for opening weekend, you can compete against me and Mark Zimmerman in a hotline league draft royale that we've constructed. I've already built out a team. Here's a shot of it. You can take a look at Mark's as well. But go sign up, compete, see if you can beat our scores and maybe some other people, and really prove it to yourself that you have what it takes. Thanks so much for watching.